Ferguson and meteorologist Matt Daniels share with us your pictures of sundogs. We saw all kinds of optical phenomena over the weekend, and they explain.
WBRC Fox 6 News. First Alert Weather Extra starts now.
And thank you for staying with us here for Weather Extra. Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt.
And meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Wes, we've been enjoying some beautiful weather lately, but man, we could use some rain.
I know, as like I said earlier, I'm loving it on game day, but when I'm out there standing out there watering the plants, trying to keep the plants alive, it's just like you water everything, and then the next day it's like you didn't even water the plants. It's crazy.
So a big question beyond the 7 days, could we see more rain? So we're going to be talking about that and a lot more tonight.
Yeah, and that's the problem. You know, you get in these situations where you have drought, and drought feeds drought. That's always I've heard that for the longest time, and that's what we're in right now, and it's going to take a significant system to break this pattern. And where we've been seeing a lot of the wet weather and a lot of the storms is in areas back to the west. You can see where the storm potential has set up for tonight, back into parts of Texas. We've been seeing all that rain, and you look at the radar at times, and it seems like the wet weather's, it's so close, but then it just stays to the west. But as we switch over and take a look at the upper air wind patterns, I want to explain the setup here. Notice how the winds aloft, we have a ridge across the southeast, and that's what's diverting that moist flow out of the southwest into areas north of us, and that's why all the rain's staying away. And until this breaks down, I mean, this is almost like something you'd see in the summertime. We get these summertime ridges of high pressure that's set up. Once that starts to break down, it's going to allow some of these systems in the westerly flow to finally reach us, and it looks like indicators are showing that could happen perhaps early next week. We're thinking a front is going to move in, but also the lower atmosphere is so dry that it's going to take quite a bit of moisture for the atmosphere to recover and support some much needed rainfall. But until that happens, I think we'll probably could see a few scattered showers, but that system, when it moves in Monday, a lot of the wet weather is going to start to fall apart. But live look right now, it's again very dry, 78 degrees live look from Nectar. As we check out the view from, this is from the Alabama Power Building, had a lovely sunset view there a few moments ago, but the temperatures, you know, it's hard to beat. This is some of the most comfy weather that we'll experience all year. It's not humid, it's not too cold, not too warm. 70-degree temperatures, perfect weather for taking a walk after supper time around the neighborhood. You can see Tuscaloosa right now at 78 degrees, Columbiana at 74. But the severe drought conditions obviously will continue to expand and across the state. We've got the unseasonable warmth. We got cooler weather coming for Halloween. So that's going to be with that front early next week. Could squeeze out a few showers, but again, for now, we're seeing the very dry conditions that are going to be setting up across the state. And as we take a look, there's a lot of wildfires that have been happening in areas across Alabama, and meteorologist Lauren Linehan standing by to give us an update on a new fire alert across the state.
Yeah, Wes, right now all of Alabama is back under a fire alert, meaning that you cannot burn in some counties. This comes after a wildfire in the Adger community continues to burn, and you can see those active wildfires across central Alabama right now. And where you've got that red circle, that means that's where they are contained. But we actually tune in now with Liviana Calmes, and she gives us an update on that Adger fire.
I talked to people here whose homes were affected, their properties were affected. They tell me what they're nervous about is that this will last even longer as this fire and smoke still smolders on a little bit on their property. Now, they say Alabama Forestry Department was out all night last night working on it. So far, the crews were able to save all of those homes, but the brush fire grew extremely fast. They tell me from Sunday to Monday, the Forestry Department says it grew from 10 acres to about 100, and that was just that first night. And then yesterday, as soon as they thought it was contained, it jumped the lines again and kept growing. The department telling us at one point they had 8 firefighters and 4 dozers out there fighting to get this fire contained. Now today they tell me it was officially, quote, contained at approximately 414 acres, like you said, over 400. And they tell us that it is still burning on the control lines, and they still are working to figure out how this fire started. We're now live in Adger, Liviana Calmes, WBRC, Fox 6 News on your side.
Well, the Alabama Forestry Commission stating that in southern parts of the state, managers have the option to get one-day burn permits. So headed to Louisiana now, where I-55 is still closed off after a massive car pileup Monday morning. This is video from our sister station WAFB in Baton Rouge. Meteorologists state that super fog impacted the area around the time of the crash. Super fog, it's one of those terms you may not have heard of, but it's combined smoke and fog. As officials continue to assess and clear the scene, 7 people have been confirmed dead, sadly, and first responders believe that number could continue to rise. Grateful survivors of these wrecks are recalling the chaos and what a traumatizing experience.
It felt like it was a very long time that we were kind of holding our breath, holding each other's hands, just waiting for someone to plow into the back of us. I'm not sure exactly how long it was, but we just watched in my rear view, just cars just slam and slide forward and kept getting closer to us. And then things kind of started dying down and people were pulling people out of cars, hopping over.
I-55 was still shut down as of this morning in both directions. Crews are working, of course, to offload a tanker that was reportedly filled with hazardous materials and just clean up after that massive accident this morning that happened because of the super fog. Lauren?
Hey Wes, thanks so much. So of course we talk about super fog, but even when Wes and I walked in today, we were like, what's that? So super fog is a really cool, interesting new concept. Well, it's not really a new concept. It's always been there. We don't often see it happen in our neck of the woods, but super fog can occur when you see areas like that already have fog there, have the potential to see that fog not just cause visibility issues, but you also had wildfires that were near Lake Pontchartrain. And so when we saw that happen, that did allow areas to see more smoke building in. So you've got not only limited visibility from fog, but also limited visibility because of the smoke. So that combined, and that did create some issues with super fog developing. And so that's what we saw. You get the combination of reduced visibility from fog and also reduced visibility from smoke. And that's where the issues occurred today. You already know when you drive through fog that you've got that reduced visibility because fog is basically just clouds at lower portions of the surface. Right at the surface, you have those clouds because you have the dew point that the temperature cools to. And so that allows cloud formation. And so that reduced visibility. But then you also had that smoke from nearby wildfires because the drought is really bad in Louisiana. If we think it's bad here, it's been even worse there. They fog and greatly reduced visibility.
Well, I got so many photos over the weekend and even yesterday, still pictures coming in of, did you see the sun halo? The sun, there was a textbook full of optical phenomena happening in the atmosphere over the weekend, from sun pillars to what we call arcs in the sky, almost rainbow-like features. And if you're curious to what it was all about, well, meteorologist Matt Daniel, Mickey Ferguson are standing by to give us an update on just what happened.
So Mickey, over the weekend, we were just bombarded, thankfully, of just tons of videos and photos of the skies, particularly on Sunday. We've had emails asking, what was
What's
happening?
going on, Matt Daniel? We got that ring out there. We got like 3 sunsets going on here. What is happening?
Well, there is some science to this. There's no,
Science!
It's not 3 suns, but
Yeah.
a little bit of light and
Sure
some
looks like it,
clouds.
Matt.
Yeah, so what we're seeing here is a halo and also some sundogs. So what is that, Mickey?
Well, we got a sundog, and it is ice crystals. They do reflect the light of the sun. The light disperses there, and it hits. Usually in this ring here, you'll see 2 sundogs, sometimes only 1, depending on your perspective. But it's best viewed, I saw mine, in the evening just before sunset, but you can see them in the dawn, at sunrise, or at sunset.
Yeah, so you'll see them a little bit early in the day or later in the day, and it's usually thanks to some upper level clouds, some cirrus clouds, a deck of that, where we'll see some filtered sunshine. It's not yet really cloudy to where you can't see these things. So we saw that on Sunday, and we saw a lot of your photos and videos. And then outside of those sundogs, we also saw a halo as well.
Hello. Again, the sunlight hits the ice crystals in the levels of the atmosphere, and it's just refracts through the crystal, and it forms a halo around the sun. And on the edges of that is typically where you see those sundogs.
And I know it's pretty obvious, but it's just need to be stated. Don't look into the sun.
Nah.
Yeah, it's bad. Here's some photos and videos as well. I wanted to show you just some of these amazing videos and photos that you sent through the First Alert Weather app. This is out of Oak Mountain from Karen Harrison. So you can definitely see that halo, and
But there's a big ring.
There's the sundog. You can see a little bit of a rainbow there. You can see some colors.
Try soaking them out, rubbing them out, but you still come out with those rings around the sun.
Yeah, so that is a fantastic video that really gives you an example of that. And here's another one. This is in Raglan from Josh.
Josh Burnham sent in a sundog, a couple of those with the sunshine. Man, it's a big sky view there. What is it, fisheye lens? Looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, great photo there. And then here's another one. And I'm just marking these so it's easier to see and understand. But you can see those sundogs on the corner of your screens. The sun's right there in the middle. Sarah sent this in from Birmingham.
Sarah's kind of like Cher, just one name, you know.
Yeah.
Robert Estelle sent this in from Florence, Alabama. So looking good there, old Rob.
Yeah, not only did we see this, but we've been bombarded as well with some gorgeous sunrises and some sunsets. This is just one of many that were submitted in. This was from earlier, showing in from Southside, Alabama. Julie sent this in. So isn't that gorgeous?
Looks like it's on fire.
Yeah, so hey, if you get some opportunities to take some pictures of some sunrises and sunsets, just make sure.
Or sundogs.
Or sundogs or anything. They apparently bark. Just make sure you download the WBRC First Alert Weather app. Scroll down, you'll see the little picture says send us your photos and videos. Click it, and then just follow directions from there.
Sounds good.
Looking forward to seeing you.
All right, will we see any more sundogs? We'll talk about what's happening in our forecast coming up. We're looking out towards Halloween. We're going beyond the 7-day forecast, show you what early November looks like. So stay with us right here as we go to break. A live look right now. One of our First Alert Sky Vision cameras at Brookwood Baptist Medical Center. What a view on this Tuesday evening. Welcome back into First Alert Weather Extra. It's still hurricane season. We are tracking a hurricane out in the Atlantic, Hurricane Tammy. You can follow along on the First Alert Weather app to see the latest forecast tracks. The latest track shows a turn back towards Bermuda, and there was some long-range data even almost did a complete circle, took this thing back towards the west. Not expecting impacts in the Gulf region this weekend, but it is expected to impact Bermuda. Could be some impacts there happening, but the Gulf Coast for the next 7 days, if you are heading down this weekend, you can see temperatures there fairly consistent, right? I mean, we're seeing some upper 70s, 78, some popular temperature, overnight lows in the 60s. No wet weather expected there along the coast, and it is going to be rather breezy. If you're heading to the mountains this weekend, the Smoky Mountains, you got to send us a weather photo. I got some lovely Gatlinburg photos this past weekend. You can see into Saturday and Sunday, temperatures around 80 degrees, overnight lows in the 50s. So even for East Tennessee, parts of the Carolinas also dealing with some of this unseasonably warm weather. But last night had a lovely view from Angie Dothard in Weaver, sharing a picture of the moon there with that nice fall backdrop right there in East Alabama. That's in the Anniston area, but it was a clear night. It's going to be another crystal clear night out there. You can see this evening a big drop in temperatures, and later on we go from 80s today. It's just incredible the temperature swings that you can see near 80 during the afternoon, and then by 9 p.m. I mean, we're already seeing low 60s and upper 50s across East Alabama. But that's the kind of air mass that we have over the state, these big temperature fluctuations over the 24-hour period. Tomorrow, a chilly start, but be ready for the heat later in the day. You could really feel it out there today, and tomorrow those temperatures rising in the low to mid 80s in a lot of areas during the afternoon. And as we take a look at our weekend forecast, we've got the Harpersville Baker Farm Festival happening Saturday and Sunday, and temperatures rising into the mid 80s, and a lot of events going on. Maybe you're heading out to a Halloween party Saturday evening. Dry weather as those temperatures rise into the 80s, but you can see for Monday and into Tuesday, that's the next big thing, a cold front that's on the way. It may squeeze out a few showers perhaps Monday, just not seeing a lot of wet weather, but what a lot of the data agrees on is that we could see a significant drop in temperatures with that front. So we could be looking at some very chilly weather as we get set to do some trick-or-treating there early next week. And as we go to meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Lauren, I was taking a look at that First Alert weather calendar, and it does look like as we get into November, at least some opportunities for possible wet weather.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of wet weather. The question is it going to be drought busting wet weather, Wes?
Right.
And there are still more questions than answers at this time. But at least it looks like, okay, there's going to be rain at some point in November, certainly more than we're expecting to see for the rest of October. But as Wes was mentioning, as we look at that Halloween forecast, check it out, 6 to 10 days from now, a good portion of the country is looking at the possibility of below average temperatures. And you can see, yes, that does include us right here in central Alabama. So we are trying to figure out just how cool could it get. So this is our latest data from our American model, the latest run. And remember, this can and will change. The question has been, well, when is that cold front, that next big thing, going to come in? As we look at those potential high temperatures, what we're looking at this afternoon showed, hey, that cold front could come here on Monday. But some of the afternoon data is suggesting, well, it may take its time. So kind of waffling back and forth. We do know, though, early next week, which is as we're wrapping up October and getting into early November, there's going to be a drastic change in temperature. So we could go from 80s to 60s, maybe even 50s for highs. And then you'll notice that cool down may end up being short-lived and possibly seeing some warmer temperatures in the forecast as we get into the first weekend of November and that first full week of November as well. So this is looking at October 30th to November 8th. Could we see the potential for freezing temperatures in the forecast, or at least 30s anytime soon? Well, this cold front may be potent enough that comes through next week that we could see maybe the possibility of 30s some point past Halloween. The question is, when would that happen? Still a lot of unknowns. It won't stay that way for sure, but showing that possibility of below average temperatures, because our average low this time of the year should be in the 50s. So let's look at that precipitation forecast. Honestly, for here in central Alabama, it's looking about on average. Now remember, October is our driest month here in the state, but we can sometimes begin to see those rain chances going up a little bit as we get into November, because we begin to see more dips in the jet stream, and that could bring in some storm systems. So here we are on Halloween next Tuesday. We could be seeing the possibility of maybe a couple of showers around, and then as we get into next week, going past Halloween, the possibility of maybe a more unsettled weather pattern. I will tell you, one of the weather models says that's not going to happen. It's going to be staying pretty bone dry. So we'll keep you posted on that in the days ahead. Meanwhile, beyond the atmosphere, a new report shows that the moon is a lot older than previously thought. This comes after rocks and lunar dust collected by Apollo 17 in the 1970s were recently examined. It showed that some of the samples date back to 4.6 billion years, which is 40 million years older than scientists initially believed. The researchers used a new method to examine the crystals on the moon's surface called atom probe tomography. Did I say that right? No, I don't think I did. Okay, think photography, tomography. There we go. Tomography, Wes. So, yeah, you know, again, we kind of focus on the atmosphere. When we get beyond the atmosphere, anything goes. But hey, we'll leave that to NASA, right? Well, here on Weather Extra, you know, we love heartwarming stories that have a science tie into it. Today, we head to Iowa, where Elisa Gomez tells the story of a butterfly catcher.
Wilma Hoekstra is 99 years old, but she's loved monarch butterflies since she was a young girl.
I was kind of a bug kid. We would catch little creatures to keep them in matchboxes.
She began raising butterflies when she moved to Iowa, nurturing them from tiny little eggs.
There, he says, you see, I can fly. I can fly.
To the moment they spread their wings. As a teacher, she uses them as a tool.
I just felt the monarch butterfly had such a beautiful story, such a cycle of life that we all could follow even in our own lives.
They hold lessons about sacrifice.
They lay their eggs, and then usually in about 2 months or so they're dead, but they're caterpillars. Their little ones are growing. These are the ones now that will go all the way to Mexico for winter, then come back to Texas in the early part of May and June and start the cycle all over again.
And lessons about kindness.
Why would you destroy something so beautiful just because it's ugly at a point in its life?
She even wrote a book to pass on those lessons to her grandkids. Surrounded by her family, Wilma released her latest group of monarchs.
My prayer is that I can be here a year from now, but otherwise this is my it'll be a grand farewell. But I know where they're going and I know where I'm going. So, you know, it's maybe see you later. This is love. This is love. Bye-bye.
In Pella, Alyssa Gomez, KCCI 8 News, Iowa's news leader.
You know, honestly, we could have probably just ended the show there and faded to black. That was so beautiful. Love, love, love those stories, and inspires me to maybe take care of some butterflies in my old age. Well, we'll be right back with more First Alert Weather Extra. But first, here's a live look from our First Alert Sky Vision in downtown Birmingham. Well, Wes, it may not be getting colder yet, but check it out. First Alert Sky Vision, it is getting darker by the minute.
Yeah, I was noticing sunset time today, 6:03.
Oh, that hurts. And
Days
just,
getting shorter.
you know, less than 2 weeks out from daylight saving time.
Yep, and the time will change this year. We do fall back.
It will. But hey, work in a nap when that happens.
Yeah, I'll see you tonight. Hey, updates on the 7